Hey everybody, welcome to the Silver Phoenix Happy Hour. I'm Blaze.
I'm Ken.
And it is season three. Season three, season opener. Can you believe it?
No, I can't because it, we've done so much and we're doing it so fast. Like it's amazing that we've gotten this far already.
Yeah, it blows my mind for sure. I'm excited because our guest today is somebody that I actually watched on a Netflix show, a new show called Easy Bake Battle. Did you see it? Did you get to watch it?
I got to watch the first episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
What'd you think?
interesting show. It's an
Yeah.
interesting show. And on that first episode, I'm a huge fan of Kristen Kish, who was the celebrity judge in that.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal. And the contestants were great. So I was digging it. I got to go back and continue it.
Yeah, it's funny because the guest that we're having on, Andy Burrell, I don't know him. I don't know that you did either. But when I watched him, it was just he was so refreshing, number one, to watch on television. So I kind of like that when somebody is like authentic and they're so refreshing to watch. But just loved that part about it. But then he also made a Philly cheesesteak appetizer that looked
Yeah.
so good, and they said that his queso was the best they've ever had, that they should bottle it up. So, and I just loved I don't know, there was just an energy and a vibe. So when I reached out to him just to see if he was interested in doing the show, he was so magnanimous and excited to do it. So he'll be joining us in a couple minutes. But I have a question for you.
Sure.
Was there actually an easy bake oven? Because they look like regular ovens to me. I
I
wasn't
couldn't
sure.
I couldn't tell because there was a big light coming out of it. I
Yeah,
just don't understand. I couldn't understand if it was coming, like if it was irradiating from from the actual light bulb or if it was an actual legit oven.
yeah, it was.
Because like there's no way you're gonna cook a whole, fish dinner or a chicken dinner under that minimum watt bulb, right? I
Right.
mean, And
Yeah,
and they also they also preheated a cast iron skillet and a sheeting pan in
right.
there. Like that takes a lot of time, I would assume, if it was a real easy bake oven.
I mean, and it's funny because I got so many tips from the show from watching it, and that was one to preheat the
Yeah,
cast iron pan. I mean, you cook a lot, so
yeah, I've done that. Yeah,
did you learn a lot from the show as well?
yeah. I mean, there were a couple of cool cheats and hacks I never thought
Yeah,
of, like wrapping potatoes in wet paper towel and microwaving them for 5 minutes to have a full russet potato like ready to go. Like
right.
that was amazing, and I have to try that now.
There was one lady who did an it was like she was finished actually, her, and she, was finished the entire thing, rang the bell, done. She was just sitting back waiting, and she made this. It was the hot Cheetos. What are they called? Like the not fiery Cheetos, whatever they're called. They're
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
spicy
Yeah,
Cheetos, and she put avocado and lime juice, and it was an appetizer she did. And let
that
me
sounds
tell you,
amazing.
I've had it like a couple times since. It's so good just as like a quick
Oh, it
little
was the
snack.
the flaming hot
Flaming
Cheetos.
Hots, yes, the
Yeah,
Flaming Hot, Cheetos, it was
yeah.
amazing. So, all right, back to Andy. One of the things that he made was a delicious appetizer with Philly cheesesteak. So,
Oh, yeah.
once we told Nicole about that, and we know Nicole likes her beef. So, let's roll that clip and see what Nicole has for us in the kitchen.
Wait a minute. Are you saying Nicole's gonna be doing cheesesteak? Because I know she's a New York girl on Long Island. So does she have the chops to pull this off?
Yeah, you just hang on there. Let's roll
All
that
right,
clip.
I'm gonna roll that clip.
What's up, Ken and Blaze? I'm in my kitchen because I'm just so excited to talk about the featured food today, the Philly cheesesteak. So, can we talk about beef for a moment? It is an excellent source. Remember, zip, zinc, iron, and protein, all those delicious essential nutrients. But you know what? We know that beef is also very, very satiating. And because it's so versatile, it can be an excellent vehicle for getting more nutrient dense foods into your diet, namely the ones most of us aren't getting enough of, like our fruits and our vegetables. Philly cheesesteak with those peppers, perfect example right there. I also want to say that beef delivers a lot of nutrient density in a small caloric package. 3 ounces of beef delivers about 25 grams of protein. If we look at some of our vegetarian sources, you would need a lot more to get that much protein. Something in the neighborhood of like 6 tablespoons of peanut butter, which would also give you a lot of fat, or something like almost 2 cups of edamame, which is going to give you a lot of carb. Not that either one of those are bad foods or that we shouldn't include them, but when we're looking for high quality sources of protein, our animal-based sources are going to deliver more bang at a lower caloric buck. Talk about these Philly cheesesteaks again, though. Am I the only one rooting for Knicks Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals? Oh my gosh, from my lips to the man upstairs ears, please make it so. And I just can't imagine a better appetizer than those Philly cheesesteak rolls. But then what are we doing to represent New York? Is it dessert? Do we go black and white cookie? Do we put pizza out? Decisions, decisions, decisions. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Ken and Blaze, back to you both in the studio.
Nicole does it
Nicole.
again. I
She
love her.
always does. She always
Um,
does.
so let me ask you, because our guest
Yeah.
was on Netflix's Easy Bake Battle,
Yeah.
and we were discussing whether the Easy Bake Oven was legit or not on the show. I'm going to ask you, growing up,
Yeah.
did you ever have an Easy Bake Oven?
Of course. Of course I did. I loved that thing. I mean, I think that was like because all you had to do was add water to the little powder and, and stick it in there. So you had like little brownies, little cookies that you could, I didn't legit make anything great in there or try. It was all
Well,
those like little packets. Did
I was a
you?
dude growing up as a kid, so I never had one, and I was always kind of curious about it, and I was just like, is that the only thing you can make? Like, were the brownies soggy? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, but you have a sister. So your sister didn't have an easy bake
Oh,
oven?
but yeah, but there was such a big age difference between us,
Oh,
and
okay.
no, she never had one. She never
Okay.
had one. Um, so I was just curious, like, how good was the stuff trying to cook something under a microwatt light bulb?
Listen, when
Like, how
you're
does that
as
work?
as you're when you're as young as I was when I had one, and I remember too, my brother, there's only a year apart between us, so he was totally involved in cooking cooking up things, but I probably just let him put one thing and then like hands off, back off. But
Mine.
yeah, mine. But we definitely split the desserts. I remember, and it was like you know I mean, to me, it's sort of like putting something in the microwave, right?
Yeah,
Which now it's a lot different, but you could put like cake mix and water in the microwave and you get like a little cake, right? So,
yeah.
but it was just a lot smaller and it was just cute. So I loved it. I loved it. But I'm super excited because I actually see that our guest, Andy Burrell, is here. So, from Netflix's Easy Bake Battle, a sportscaster turned home chef, let's welcome Andy to the show. Hi, Andy.
Hey, what's up, Blaze? How you guys doing?
Hi. Great. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. We were actually just talking about having if we had easy bake ovens when we were kids. Did you?
I did not actually.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I just grew up in the kitchen, right? But
Yeah.
those no, and they sent one to me though, like the new one. It's pretty legit, honestly. Yeah, it's got some
Really?
yeah, it's got serious firepower. So yeah.
That's
It's
amazing. Now,
it's
we
not
you
like a
have to
little 10-watt micro bulb anymore,
Yes,
and
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
you have to dispel because we were just talking about this. Were the ovens really easy bake ovens, or was it like just kind of made to look
No,
like
it was
that? I
really
was
just
gonna say.
all for show. Yeah, in fact, like at the beginning of the show, right? First of all, we walk in there and it's like, I mean, it's a massive kitchen. It's
Yeah.
like overwhelming. I remember seeing like a sous vide machine, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I'll use that. I'm like, what am I? I've never used one of those in my life. Why the
for
hell would
what?
I?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just get some Peking duck going over here, and then like,
Yeah.
no, but yeah, the producers even were like, yeah, so once you guys are finished and you're just kind of chilling and relaxing, I'm going, we have 30 minutes. Like, there's gonna be no chilling. We're like, you can pull out the easy bake and play with it a little bit. Yeah, that wasn't happening. So
Oh my goodness.
All right, so I have so many questions about this show
Yeah.
for you. First thing, your episode. First off, you are the ultimate bro. That's all I got to say going into this.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been told that. I even made shirts, and actually, yeah, because Anthony, said you're such a bro. So I was like, well, I'm gonna make shirts that say you're such a bro.
Yeah.
So, and I actually got to give him one, in fact. But sorry for
Oh, that's
interrupting.
great.
Yeah, yeah, super cool. I'll tell you about that later. But yeah, go ahead, dude.
so let me ask you, going into it, like, what expectations did you have? Like, did you know anything about the expectations of what was required for you going into this?
No, so I wasn't in like a great place, honestly. And I kind of knew that, but I was also like, oh, well, I've done TV. I was on TV for 7 years. It was I was a little overconfident. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, honestly. And I mean, it was real. I mean, like as soon as like we went out there, I mean, it was real. And you kind of think that like, there's gonna be kind of some lovey-doveyness and things like that. Like when I went off for the last time and I'm walking out of there, I'm thinking to myself as I've got my back turned, I'm like, surely they're gonna like pull me back out here and we're gonna do another take. It was like, no, there were guys back there with walkie-talkies, like, come on, you're out of here. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I didn't have a clue what I was getting into, man. But it was a heck of an experience, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what made you choose tell everybody about for in case they haven't seen the show, tell everybody about the dishes that you made while you were there.
Yeah, so it was Midnight Madness or Midnight
Yeah.
Munchies is what they called
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, dude, I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm a bro. I mean, I was a college football player. I live like, on 6th Street and Rainy Street here in Austin. And I'm going up against a mother who's pregnant and a military guy who's got a little son. I'm like, I've got this in the bag. So yeah, I did. I've done these for a long time. They're delicious. Like the great thing about like an egg roll is you can really put whatever you want in it, right? You can just stuff it with goodness. So I was like, well, Velveeta melts quick and easy. It's delicious. Like who doesn't love artificial cheese, right? It's so yummy
Of course.
when it's in its right place, right? But yeah, so I did like stuffed egg rolls, Philly cheesesteak egg rolls, and then I did a side of spicy Texas queso because I had to bring like, a little bit of Austin to the show. So yeah, I thought I did great. I used 2 cheeses. I finished first. I used like a small amount of ingredients, but I didn't have what it took to get to the
I
next
thought
round.
you were robbed, I'm gonna be honest, but it's not
It
just
it
because
looked amazing.
yeah, they even said the judges said that the queso was the best they've ever tasted, like, and that you should
Right.
bottle it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like an amazing compliment.
Thank you.
But I think I connected to you immediately as soon as you said Philly cheesesteak because I'm a Philly girl originally.
Oh,
So
nice.
I was like, "Ooh,
Okay.
I wonder if he's from Philly originally."
Yeah, no, I did. I did like the poor man's version, right? So
Yeah,
because I mean, that was the quickest. I think I finished in 26 minutes or something, and it was just
yeah.
like, I mean, it flew by. I was sweating like a maniac. My hair was going everywhere.
Oh, they
It was nuts.
commented on it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And well, even Anthony did when I saw him because I had my hair looking right, and he's like, "All right," he's like, "Your hair." I was like, "Thanks, dude. Yeah, it's a little better
All right.
now."
So I have 2 questions about your dish.
Okay, cool.
One was, you were the first one to complete. So being the first one done, does that actually make you feel confident, or does it make you go, "Oh, I'm the first one done. Should I have done
Yeah.
more?"
Yeah, no, I think because they said before the show, they're like, one of the winning like attributes would be who finishes first. So I thought like my dish was solid. I've cooked it several times in the past. Like I know the flavors were there. I felt pretty confident, honestly. I had like a lot of energy. I was the one like keeping everybody up and moving around. I don't think that hurt me. I do think that I screwed up though. I made, let's see, 2, 4, 6. I think I had 7 egg rolls. And if I had have had 8, or wait, if I had have had, I had 8, if I had have had 9, then each one would have gotten a little bit more. And then you couldn't have thrown me out because it would have been like, not only did he do more with less, it's all in hindsight. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't wait to go on the next one, whenever that is and whatever show that is, because I mean, I'll crush it now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just know how it works now. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because you go in there, guys, and you really don't know, right? You pull up to Netflix, it's in, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and like it's just this massive warehouses. And then you go in there and everyone's telling you where to go and how to be, and you've got to sit in this tent forever. And like, there's just a lot of waiting. You guys probably know as far as like
Yeah.
production, television, and film. I mean, it just
Yeah.
takes forever. And, knowing all of that now and having a better feel for it, I think it would go a little bit smoother. But yeah.
Well, listen, there's a reason that you were first out, but yet you're on our show. Nobody else on that show, I wouldn't have even thought to ask anybody else, to be
Totally
honest.
stood
So,
out. Totally
I
yeah,
stood out,
appreciate
dude.
that.
100%.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
100%. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Let's segue for a second and talk about sports and your sports career. So,
Yeah.
tell us where that started and
Yeah.
where, yeah,
I mean, as when I was a kid, everyone's like, I want to be a doctor, a veterinarian. And I'm like, I want to be a sportscaster. So from the time I was a little kid, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I used to sneak out of my bedroom at night when I had to go to bed. I'd sneak out to watch the Braves, play the World Series to see the last innings. I always said I wanted to be the next Bob Costas, so
uh,
it was in my blood. I played sports my entire life. I played college football. And then, I graduated with a sports broadcast or a broadcast journalism degree. And then that was when I went to work for Michael Irvin, who's Hall of Fame wide receiver and all that good stuff. And he was on NFL Network and Dancing with the Stars and
yeah.
ESPN Radio. So I'm like 23 years old, 22 years old, driving around convertibles in Beverly Hills, staying in penthouse suites, like hanging out with superstars. And like looking back on it now, I'm like, first of all, how did I do that for 2 years? Because he is very demanding, very high energy. I mean, the longest assistant he ever had was 4 months, and I worked for him for 2 years somehow.
Wow.
But my mom would always call and like, she's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And looking back at it, I'm like, I understand now. She was probably freaking nervous for my life. But yeah, and then I went to Louisiana and got into television in Lafayette, which was a culture shock. I went from Fort Worth and Dallas to the sticks of Louisiana, Cajun country, and it was amazing, dude. Like it was. I mean, the people down there are beautiful, man. The food, the culture, the dancing, the music. It's just a different place. So yeah, I mean, that's where it all got started. And then I kind of bounced around the country, and yeah, it was a good run though. I got to do some really neat things.
I love the fact that you worked for ESPN and so did I. So we both had that in common when
Yeah,
we
that's so
had
awesome. I love that.
connected. Yeah, it was really cool. Speaking of, how about a little game? This is actually you and Ken, because Ken doesn't know these questions either, but
I
these
hate
are
when she does this to me.
are you up for it though, first,
Yeah,
Andy? Are you up
absolutely.
for it?
Let's do
Okay,
it.
cool.
Yeah.
So these are questions that involve sports and food. So we're marrying the
Oh,
two
nice.
together
Well,
because
so
I
I
had to
should
do
win
it for
this,
you,
right? Oh no,
just for
the
you.
pressure's on.
All right. So some of them are pretty easy though. There's only a few. So all right. So
Mm.
what sport has a plate?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, good. There's one. You're one for one. All right. A grain that I prefer popped. Which sport has corn snow?
Wait, say the first part again.
Yeah, a grain that I prefer popped,
Yes,
usually.
popcorn.
Which sport has corn snow? It's called corn snow.
Will it be baseball again or no? Corn snow?
Snow. So think of snow. Snow.
Snowboarding or skiing?
Skiing.
Oh, wait, that's
Skiing, yes.
confusing. That's a trick
So
Yeah.
question.
I know, right? So, well, it's what it's called. It's called corn snow, and it thaws and freezes, and then when it keeps thawing and freezing and goes over and over again, the snow kind of looks like a kernel of corn. So
Oh,
they call
okay.
it corn
Huh.
Yeah.
snow.
So
All
yeah,
right.
All right, you guys, you better step it up next one. All
yeah,
right. So,
really.
all right, good with cranberry sauce and a favorite at Christmas too. In which sport can you score a turkey?
Oh, bowling.
Bowling. That's right.
Of
Three
course.
strikes in a row,
If
bowling.
you will it, dude, it is no dream. It's a little big Lebowski reference there for you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why we're
Yep.
laughing.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Love that you just pulled out a quote like that. That's awesome. Right up our alley. All right, so that was another one up our alley.
Nice.
Although I had to tell you that one. So all right. So I like this grated onto rice pudding, but in what
Mm.
sport would you perform a nutmeg? This one's a little tougher. What sport would you perform a nutmeg?
Huh.
It's one of the majors.
Really? A nut
Yeah,
meg.
Argentina just won the
Oh,
World
so
Cup in it.
soccer. What is
Soccer,
that?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, yes. So a nutmeg, if you don't know what it is, it's when the ball goes between a player's legs. It's called a nutmeg.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
So, I
news to
just learned
me.
that actually recently. Okay, 2 more to go. To dunk or not to dunk, in my tea that is, in what sport would you find a biscuit?
Uh, man, these are tough.
So I mean, because I couldn't come up with both sports and food. It's hard.
Biscuit. Well, I'm just thinking sea biscuit, but that's not.
No, I mean,
Oh, actually, go
I'm
ahead,
thinking
Ken.
basketball, but
I actually I would accept the horse racing one because
Okay.
sea biscuit, but the answer is ice hockey. It's the puck is
Uh,
known as a biscuit.
oh, damn. See, yeah, I'm
oh,
Yeah,
from the
yeah, yeah. I
South.
know when you
Yeah.
think of it.
yeah.
Now this last one, it's probably the hardest one I think,
Oh,
but
great.
I know about it because I play the sport. So now that we're friends on Instagram, maybe you saw pictures of it. Who knows? All right, so maybe I gave it away. This is a delicious breakfast food I like with bacon and maple syrup or fruit and cream. In what sport would you perform a pancake?
Oh, football. Yeah. Right?
Could
I
Football.
you
would.
perform
I
Yeah, pancake is what an offensive lineman does to a defensive lineman. It's called a pancake.
Hey, I love it. That's not the answer I was looking for, but
Okay.
that
I was
is
gonna
also
say
a correct answer.
I would say volleyball.
It's volleyball, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
volleyball. It's volleyball is when you pancake the ball.
Yeah.
It kind of comes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
all
Cool.
right. Well, thank you for playing. Thank you for playing. You did not disappoint us, and now you know what a biscuit is, and a
Yes.
nutmeg.
And a nutmeg.
So
Yes.
there you go. Now, what are you drinking over there? I have
Oh,
some
yeah.
Narang
I'm just,
Narragansett.
oh, nice. I'm just
Narragansett.
crushing LaCroix. Yeah.
Mm,
Actually, yeah, I quit drinking recently.
yeah,
I feel amazing. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, like I'm just like super hyper focused, and it's awesome getting up in the morning, and I have way more energy. So yeah, it's been pretty good. So we'll see how long it goes, but you know, I'm in the zone. I'm in the zone right now. It feels pretty good. So
We could still
Nice.
cheers
oh,
with your
absolutely.
drink, and I went with this in honor of you. Actually,
What do
it's
you have
the
there?
fresh catch, but it has a lobster on it, so I figured
Oh, nice.
food related.
I love
Like
that.
try to do a little combination there. So Ken, do you have another question?
Yeah. Going back to the show, to Easy Bake Battle. I'm a huge fan of Kristen Kish.
Oh yeah.
And how did it feel telling when she told you that you could bottle up your queso?
Yeah. I mean, that was
I
really
mean,
cool.
that was
Yeah.
cool, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, it was, so we didn't even know that Anthony was the host until the night before.
Mm,
So we're out in New Mexico. We've been doing like a couple of hours of interviews, right? And then finally, they say, "Do you know who the host is?" I'm like, "I have no idea." And they're like, "Anthony," and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then we didn't even know it was Kristen until we went out there. So then you see her, and you're trying to put her name, and you're like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "Oh no, we have a top chef, an Iron Chef, like
Yeah.
out here." It was just like, but yeah, hearing her say that, and I believe it was genuine, man. She's a really sweet person, and yeah, it was
She
really
seems
cool.
it. She really
Yeah,
seems it.
yeah, she had me to her restaurant, Arlo Gray, here in Austin, and man, she just brought out all the goods, and her and Anthony have been really sweet to me post production and since it's come out and stuff. So that's been really cool to create a relationship with the both of them.
That's
But yeah, I
awesome,
because
man.
mean,
they
that was
probably were like, "We let go of him too soon," is probably what they were like. So
yeah. Well, Anthony did have some sweet things to say
yeah,
afterward and everything. So yeah, I mean, I was so worried because again, I wasn't like at my best then, and I was like, oh my gosh. And you can imagine, like, we shot this thing in November, and then it didn't air until the very next, it was like 11 months or something,
Yeah.
right? So you're just like, and then it starts getting closer, and you start seeing some of the pub come out, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so I remember like coming out to my living room at 6 a.m. that morning and like getting on the couch and watching it alone, just being like, what's going to happen?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you. So, because they shoot stuff so far in advance, when it actually airs and you're made aware and you watch it, like, do you cringe?
Um, yeah, so that's interesting. So when I was doing television and I was a sportscaster, I would never watch my stuff. Um, but like, and I was pretty darn good, and like I had some cool stories that I did, different types of like outside the box, not necessarily like local TV things. And I've never watched it. And so with this one, especially with as much time, like local TV, you can just watch it immediately, right? But having to wait all those months was, yes, I was cringe. Yes, for to answer your question. But then like when I started getting all the positive feedback, it was really cool, so that like, really pumped me up and made me feel a lot better. And honestly, just like, you got to remind yourself like of these moments and just how special they are, because like just to be able to get on that show is such a opportunity, such a cool thing. And like so many people don't get that opportunity. So I'm just super grateful that I was on it and all the cool stuff that's happened since then. It's been pretty neat.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you too. What actually decided to make you go out for it?
Dude, so honestly, I hadn't really taken off on my, food deal yet. I just was kind of like messing around with it here and there. During COVID, I started making the videos and things like that. And then, yeah, somebody just slid in my DMs, one of the producers, and the process took forever, though. I mean, we did so many different auditions and things like that. It took probably 4 months for them to actually finally be like, okay, yeah, you're on the show.
Well, let me ask
Yeah.
you about the audition process then. Like, so what were you doing to actually get involved with it? Were you cooking? Were you just doing, personalized videos? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, so really they just like probably like 6 to 10 different people would almost like kind of interview you, right? Just like anything.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, they started having you do different tasks. So they would hit you up at like 5 p.m. and ask you to complete all these tasks like that night. It's like, what? I just worked all day. Like, I gotta go to the store. Gotta work on my knife skills. But I had fun with it, and I had like I'd have friends over and stuff, and they would film it, and I would send it back to them. So you would have to do things like that, create a dessert, not using dairy and this and that or whatever. So they had different types of like things to try to get you ready and see how you'd react to them. So
How do we see those videos?
those
I'm curious now.
are tucked away somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere deep in the cloud. Yeah.
Well, let's talk a second about the food deal that you just mentioned earlier. Wasn't there, I saw something on your Instagram that you were at Taco Bell
Oh
and
yeah,
you were
so I've got
promoting.
like so yeah, I mean it's just been really neat, Blaze, like all these cool opportunities. So
Yeah.
actually, Yellowbird hot sauce is from Austin, Texas. It's nationwide now. Have you guys had it by chance?
No.
I have
No.
not, but I saw it on your website.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll have to hook
Yeah.
you guys up. Yeah, I'll have
Yeah.
to hook you up with a couple of
Would
bottles. So it's
love it. I
amazing.
love hot sauce.
Same, dude. I put it on everything. But
Yeah.
the beautiful part about this is it's all organic. So it's made with like strawberries and organic dates and
Oh yeah.
mushrooms.
Oh,
Like
Oh,
there's
nice.
wow.
no additives. There's probably like 10 to 15 ingredients in each one, and you can read all of them. They're from the earth. But it tastes better than anything. Like it's unbelievable. So I mean, it's at all of the taco shops around Austin, which says a lot because we're like the capital of breakfast tacos.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they just did a collab with Taco Bell. So they've got these nacho cheese fries that they came out with. But it's really cool to see a company from right here in Austin that I work with directly, working with a big dog like Taco Bell. So
That's awesome.
I know, and the fries were legit, dude. They're
Well,
like,
so how much hot sauce is too much hot sauce then?
oh, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't. To each his own, honestly, because you'll
Yeah.
find me dumping, and each food needs different hot sauce. Like if I'm eating
Right.
like red beans and rice, I need like old school Louisiana, like vinegar based. And then if I'm doing something fancy, I'm gonna use a plum reaper from Yellowbird. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It all depends on personal preference too. Like,
absolutely.
I'm a huge garlic hot sauce fan.
Oh yeah,
Habanero garlic. Yeah, and
oh yeah,
one of my best friends actually made a fantastic blueberry Carolina Reaper sauce.
nice.
Ooh,
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
that
I know
sounds
that's good
good.
because Yellowbird has the plum reaper and it's delicious, dude. So yeah,
yeah,
very
yeah.
similar, right? Yeah. Habanero is just awesome with anything fruity. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I've got a slaw that I make with mango and onions and cilantro and tomato, and you put a little habanero in there, and then throw
Mango
that on.
habanero is
Oh, mango
delicious.
habanero is the move, and then put that on a pork chop. So good.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That sounds really good. Now,
Yeah.
do you cook or do other people cook for you? Like if you have to,
I'm
cook all the time, is it a combination or are you always the go-to guy?
always the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it goes back to the show when you were talking about cooking for all your football guys in
Yeah,
Yeah.
college,
definitely.
right?
Yeah, I love hosting. Like that's
Yeah.
just like I guess it's from my mom, maybe. I got it from my mom. We're just very social people, and I enjoy taking care of people. Like there's nothing better than having my friends and family over, cooking for everyone, and everyone's like, sit down and have something. I'm like, no. I just like watching and waiting, making sure everyone's taken care of, and then like seeing the look on their eyes and the way they get elated and just
I get it.
that's it's so rewarding and fulfilling. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm always the go-to guy. But I like that.
So what's next on the horizon for you?
Man, a lot of cool stuff. So, in
Yeah.
fact, yeah. So, well, right? This is awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
Sure.
Yeah, and I am cooking for a nourishment party. It's like a Mother's Day nourishment themed party. So it's going to be like 24, 30 females hanging out and getting all hooked up with all kinds of cool little different gifts and things like that. So I'll be cooking for them. It's actually really neat. What I'm going to do is I've got a friend who wrote a book about like, women's health. She studied this stuff and she just came out with a new tea that helps with lactate and things like that. So I'm going to link up with her tomorrow and figure out like what foods nourish women's bodies. Like, how do you get rid of bloating? What's great for energy? What's good when you're feeling whatever in your third trimester? What's good for postpartum? And so I'm going to take all of those foods and I'm going to create a menu and do tapas for the ladies. So that'll be really cool because each dish will have its own story. And you'll be able to talk about what it's actually doing for them and their body. And then also they can take that with them as they, go along down the road. So yeah,
Love
things
that.
like that. I do private events and cooking shows. I just gotta, how social media is. It's weird, man. It's like,
Listen,
sometimes it's starting to go like this and then it goes this and it's just like, whatever. So I found myself kind of sometimes like stressing about that and worrying
Yeah.
about it and getting caught up in it all, wondering why I'm not here and someone else is there. And it's like, dude, you got to live in the moment. You got to be mindful and present.
Yeah.
And like, I do it for me and my enjoyment and my creative outlet and my fulfillment. And it also like makes people happy, which I love. So if I just continue doing that, some good things will pop off. But yeah,
I
we're in a
literally
good
was
way.
just in a leadership workshop before this show tonight,
Okay.
and with actually a former guest of ours who runs it, but she called when you're kind of scrolling through, she called it doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And because if you're looking for a certain thing, sometimes you'll get the positive, but a lot of times it's negative. And when you're looking at that, it just doesn't serve you, especially when you
Right.
have like that authentic and cool energy. So I listened to what she said. I was like, I'm gonna doom scroll a little less because I don't need
Yeah,
to,
well,
do that.
absolutely. That's
Yeah,
cool that you bring that up because
yeah,
I actually heard somebody talking about that the other day, Andrew Huberman, that awesome doctor, and
yeah,
he was talking about how it's just mindless scrolling. He's like,
yeah,
if you're on Instagram and you're not scrolling with intent, get
right,
off because your dopamine is gone. And
yeah,
yeah.
you're just going down and down. I'm like, so now if I find myself mindlessly scrolling, I'm like, no, no, no. So I try to kind of, I even got off for a few weeks, it's
yeah.
just like you gotta take care of yourself.
Yeah.
This stuff's gonna be here. But yeah, I love doing it. It's fun.
I
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
gotta
go
tell
ahead.
you too, like the event that you have coming up sounds amazing.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
after it's done, that is something that would make a potentially great book about the experience afterwards.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I am. That's interesting you bring that up. I've actually talked to Irvin a little bit and his attorney about writing a book. Um, because I'll have to get his sign off on some of the things. But I've lived a very interesting life. I went from, so I feel like I need to start sharing that. And I've been doing some journaling and things like that more, which has gotten me back into my creative writing. It's like somebody told me to journal, and I'm not going to journal. I don't have time for that. And then I started doing it, and I'm like, whoa, I really like this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you were a writer. You were a great writer. You did television and wrote all your stuff. Like, it makes sense. So it's always
Yep.
nice when you can find these new hobbies that, give you energy and everything. So
Yeah.
I've considered it. I've started it, and all of a sudden, like again, like you kind of question yourself sometimes. It's like I don't know if I have enough stories. And as you're looking at it, I'm like, you have a lot of stories. Like
yeah,
I could actually do this.
right. Yeah,
Andy,
absolutely.
something you have to know about Ken is that we met on a radio show. I was a
Right.
guest of his on his show, The Loud Idiots, and on Non-Productive Radio, I was a guest because I had done a horror movie, and so that's how
Mm,
we linked up originally
Right.
years ago. And
right.
then I found all these things out about Ken. He was a stunt person, a
Oh, shit.
wrestler, like
What?
all these things. But then
Yeah.
he found all these things about me, and so we just every time we're having a conversation, especially with our guests, it's so funny the things that it brings up from
Oh,
all the
yeah.
things that we've been through. So we're right there with you. We get it. And I think it's the creative side of people. When you have
Mhm.
that creativeness, sometimes it ebbs and flows. Sometimes you're going
Yes.
through something in life where it's like, what, the creativity is a little bit at the low. But then
Right.
you just kind of find yourself again, and then it comes back up again. And
Yes.
then, yeah.
Oh, I love
So
that. Yeah,
it's amazing.
absolutely. In fact,
Yeah.
that reminds me, I was in Big Sur a couple of months ago.
I
And
was too.
really?
Yeah.
No
I go
way.
every year. I love Big Sur.
Oh
It's one of
my
my favorite
gosh.
places. Where were
Okay.
you? What part?
Um, well, I went to Cambria.
Okay.
We stayed at Tree Bones. I don't know if you know
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
But I was all over the place. We went to Carmel. We went all over,
That's
but
yeah.
we went on a huge hike one day, and it ended up being like 14 miles, and we didn't have any water or any food. We thought we were going to casually go on like a 3.5 mile hike and go see this waterfall, but instead of going right, we went left. And, and we were like
Was it
walking down.
McWay Falls? Is that what you were looking for? McWay Falls?
Gosh,
Is it
I'll
the
have to.
waterfall?
Yeah, I mean, and we were right there, but like we just went away from it, and we ended
Yeah.
up going to the very top of the peak. Like, it was insane. But the cool part about it, the reason I brought that up is like it was just like life. You would have these moments where it started raining, it was dark, we couldn't even see the view anymore of PCH and the water. It was like, we're like in the forest, and then all of a sudden the light comes out, and it's like you got to jump over water, you got to take the right turn. It was a great analogy for life, and that's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
You have to go to Pfeiffer Beach. I think it was
Ooh,
closed. It's been closed for the past like 6 months because of rock slides.
that's
Um,
that's why we couldn't go north. Even when we went to Tree Bones, we had to go all the way around and come back out this
exactly.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on the top coming down, and I stopped before all the slides and everything, so and then I
Oh
turned
wow.
but 2 years ago, I went to Pfeiffer Beach, and the thing is that we got so caught up in, like, the Bixby Bridge and all,
Oh
like, the
yeah.
really cool sites. We
Yeah.
went to Midway Falls, but we ended up at Pfeiffer Beach at dark,
Ooh.
and it was so magical, though, because I'm kind of a nerd, so I had the
Yeah.
headlamp. So
Nice.
we had our headlamp on the beach, and I didn't realize that the iPhone takes such great photos if you set it up right
Oh,
in the
cool.
dark. So I didn't know that the keyhole arch, that's like the big thing to see at Pfeiffer Beach, was right there until I took a picture
Oh,
in the dark, and it was
wow.
literally such a beautiful. I'll send you a photo
Wow,
just
you
of
gotta
it because
share that with me.
it was
Yeah.
so beautiful, and that's
Oh,
where they have the purple sand, which is made of manganese, and it's unreal. So
oh, I
yeah,
love
I'll
that
hook you up
stuff.
definitely.
Yeah, and dude, I'll definitely be back because that
Yeah,
place is unreal. Like, there's
I go
nowhere
every
like
year.
it. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's ask some questions because we have a new thing now in season three because you're part of season three now. If we still can't believe that we're already to
That's
season three,
Yeah.
amazing.
so it's
Congrats.
it's
That's awesome.
madness. It's complete madness. But we usually ask one question at the end of the show, but we kind of want to get to know our guests a little bit more. So I'll ask the first question. Ken, you can ask the next, and we'll just go back and forth a little bit until we end
All
up
right.
on our last question. But my question is, because you're a home chef, what's the one seasoning that you can put on everything?
Oh man. Well, I don't know if everybody would agree with me, but for me, what I love to use on a lot of things is red pepper flakes, just like crushed red pepper flakes. Because
Yes.
because crushed red, like if you go crazy with it, yes, you're gonna get a ton of heat, but it's also like this perfect type of heat that just kind of is like in the back, and you don't even really notice it. You're just like, oh, that's kind of a little something. But like I find myself putting that in almost everything. Also,
Yeah.
like everything but bagel is the best. Like when I'm making my Asian bowls and stuff, I don't even use toasted sesames hardly anymore. I just go with the everything but bagel because it's got like more flavor. But yeah, I'd say fresh red pepper.
Okay. Ken, what's yours?
All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot. You're on a desert island.
Oh shit.
You're allowed one music group for a song and one movie that you can always watch on a loop replay. What is it?
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I would go with Kid Cudi because like yeah, he's got the slow dark stuff. So if I'm sitting there like I'm never gonna be found, I could listen to that. And then also he's got like the get up and go stuff, so I could go like hunt down a predator and get some food. Um, and then as far as the movie, in this moment, right?
Yeah.
God, there's so many good ones. That's such a difficult question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this moment, I would say like this isn't like my all-time favorite movie, okay? But for right now, let's just say in this moment, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean,
Okay.
That is
just-
a good movie, dude.
Yeah.
it's
I
so
just
good.
watched it recently too.
Yeah, it's so good, dude. And you can just it's you can pick it up whenever. So if it's on loop, you can kind of come in halfway or
Yep.
something. It's got dark comedy. It's got some action,
It's got a lot of history to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
history, and the way that it intertwines and makes you
Yeah.
think. So yeah.
All right. My question next. What celebrity do you secretly crush on? And this won't
Uh,
get you in trouble. It's just
oh man, who do I crush on? Oh well, gosh, I'd hate to say that because I just said the movie, but Margot Robbie. But
uh,
there's
Yeah.
yeah, I'd go Margot Robbie. I mean, she's
yeah.
ridiculous.
I
Nothing
mean,
wrong with that.
I think crushes change all the time. So
Yeah.
like who I
Yeah,
thought maybe, a year ago maybe is not the person. Like, I used to really crush on Ryan Reynolds, but then he married Blake Lively and I'm like, all right,
no, yeah,
I always crush on people that are actually attainable. Like I don't crush on people that aren't attainable.
right.
But yeah, so
All right. I got one more.
yeah,
Last meal.
Oh,
What is
okay.
your last meal?
yeah.
I would say I would have my mom. My mom would cook it, and she's the goat. And I would say her smothered pork chops with garlic mashed potatoes, and probably her. She makes like this. Oh God, what is it? It's like an Israeli salad, and it's so good. So I'd go with that.
Oh.
But her smothered pork chops, they've got like I can't pull it off. I don't know. She takes a lot of patience and a lot of time, but she gets them to where they're like crispy on the outside, but they literally like fall apart like butter because they sit there and just go for like hours. They're amazing. And then with the mashed potatoes, and they're big and chunky, and they've got like garlic and sour cream in them. Oh,
That
Yum.
sounds amazing.
You're making us very hungry.
and then yeah, and I would have to have a piece of her buttermilk pie as well. That stuff is
I was gonna say you got to add dessert to that.
yeah, buttermilk pie for sure. Have you guys had buttermilk pie? Do you know that?
No.
I've never heard of that before.
Dude, okay.
So we're getting hot sauce and buttermilk pie in the mail.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, how am I going to get this there? But, yeah, I need to actually do that recipe again. I've done it before, but I'll put it out there. I'll tag you guys so you can check it out.
That
That'd
would
be
be
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then last question, what piece of advice could you offer to someone who is looking to, I mean, you do both, it's sports and food and all of that. What piece of advice can you give?
Yeah, I mean, be yourself. I think like, we're all so different, and sometimes we get caught up with trying to be like so and so or whatever, but just like love yourself and be yourself. And you know, don't think about all the clutter and everything. Just go about your life one step at a time. Have fun, enjoy it, and do you and be you. Yep.
Awesome. I think
Awesome.
that that is the perfect way to end it. So we want to thank you so much, Andy Burrell, for joining us today and for being
Thank you
amazing. I
for
mean, this
yeah,
is a great
Oh,
interview. I
definitely
loved
yeah.
every
thank you for
second
hanging
of
with
it.
us.
So
Cool. You
Yeah.
guys
yeah,
rock. Blaze, Ken, nice to meet
yeah.
you. Please let's
Same
do it
here.
again, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Absolutely. I would love to
And
have you
cheers
back.
to you.
Cheers, guys.
Yes.
All right, you
Yeah.
have a good rest
Take
of the week.
care.
All right, later.
All
We'll
right.
see you
Take
next time.
care.
It was so great.
What a great guy.
Amazing, right? Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna like pat myself on the back a little bit, only
You
because
know what? I was skeptical when you brought up the concept of this show, and you're
yeah,
like, let's talk to someone that got booted early from a reality show. I'm like, what?
no,
And
honestly, I wasn't even about that for me. It
no,
was like,
no, he had such a
yeah,
personality during that first episode. And when I saw it after you pitched it, and I saw it, I'm like, oh my god, she's right. This guy would
yeah.
be incredible to talk to, and he was.
Yeah,
He
and the
was.
thing is too is that I did you watch the whole season or just his episode
No,
or
no,
the first
I
couple?
haven't had a chance to watch all of it yet, but yeah,
Okay, so I did watch the whole season before I even contacted him. I watched the whole season, and you know, but he just stuck with me the whole time. I was like, we need Andy back. Like, where's Andy? I was hoping they would bring him back, to be honest, like maybe
yeah,
towards the end. But that's not how the show was set up. But
yeah,
you know, his there's just something. I think, you know, it's just so cool. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm super excited in the way things are shaping up for our season 3.
I'm thinking we just got to have him back periodically as a guest
Yeah,
host. That's all.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I think yeah, I could see him and Nicole linking up too and having some really cool segments
That might be
together.
dangerous. Yeah,
Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up for us. But thank you so much again to Andy Burrell from
so
Netflix
awesome.
Easy Bake Battle.
Yeah,
And we look forward to seeing what you're going to do next because big things and just fun things. I just want you to do what you're happy to do, you know, what makes you happy. So
I just can't
he's
wait
that
to get
kind of
his
guy.
care package.
Yeah, sorry. Well, cheers to that.
I'm
See you
gonna
guys next time.
I'm gonna keep him to that. Have a good
Yeah.
night, everybody.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.
You've just enjoyed the Silver Phoenix Happy Hour with Blaze and Ken.